Today, we're going to dive into a pretty intense story about brilliance and, well, tragedy. We're going to break down how a truly gifted student, someone pushed right to the edge, tried to literally rewrite human nature and ended up creating a monster. So let's get into it. At the very heart of this whole thing is this really stark contrast. I mean, on one side, you've got Rana, the brightest kid in the chemistry lab, the one all the teachers raved about. And on the other side, you have what he became, a creature, the source of all this chaos, a monster.
And that's it, right? That's the big question for this whole explainer. How does a boy with so much promise, so much potential, turn into the very thing he was trying to defeat? We're going to trace that journey, step by painful step. So, our story kicks off in a place that's supposed to be innocent, right? A high school. But this isn't just about classes and grades. We're about to see the catalyst, that initial chemical reaction in a young mind that set this whole tragedy in motion.
This slide really lays out Reina's world pretty clearly. Academically, he was a superstar, but socially, totally invisible, which made him a perfect target for bullies. He started seeing weakness not as, a human thing, but as a scientific problem that he could solve. The only real anchors he had in his life were his two friends, Vicky and Nikki.
And this is a quote from his hidden notebook, and it's the core of his entire philosophy. It's not just some random thought, it's his whole thesis. He truly believed that being kind made him a victim, and that the only way to change his reality was to fundamentally change himself, with power.
Okay, so we've got the why. Now we move into the how. This is the transformation, where this desperate idea he scribbled in a notebook starts its terrifying evolution into a citywide threat.
And this slide, wow, it just reveals the sheer scale of his ambition. It was never going to stop with just him. Phase 1, that was all about fixing himself. Phase 2 was about recruiting other people he saw as weak. But Phase 3, man, that was about forcibly changing the entire world.
You know, his very first recording shows you this raw, really humanizing motive. This entire monstrous plan started from a simple, kind of relatable place. He just wanted to escape that feeling of fear and being insignificant.
Now contrast that with what he tells Vicky later on. That fear is completely gone. It's been replaced by this cold, confident ideology. He doesn't see his transformation as some desperate act anymore. He sees it as the next logical step for all of humanity. He's not fixing a flaw, he thinks he is the future.
All right, let's get to the peak of his ambition, Phase 3. This is where Rana's plan goes way beyond personal power and just becomes this act of staggering hubris, an attempt to remake the entire world in his own image.
And this is what was so insidious about his plan. He wasn't going to unleash some army of giant monsters. No, the goal was way more subtle. A slow, silent change through the city's water system. He would gift people strength, remove their so-called weakness, and all the while, he'd be setting himself up as their unseen leader. So here's the turning point. How do you fight an idea? Vicky and Nikki realize they can't overpower him. The only weapon they have is the one thing Rana tried so hard to erase, his own past. They use his own voice, that scared kid who just wanted to stop feeling small, to try and break his control.
During that final confrontation up in the tower, he says these chilling words. He's so sure of his victory, so convinced of his own evolution, that he actually blames his friends for not stopping him when he was still just a boy. It's the absolute peak of his arrogance, and it's right before the fall.
And when his control finally shatters, the result is just chaos. But the real defeat for Reina, the real gut punch, isn't the failure of his plan. It's that sudden, crushing realization that he is truly, utterly alone. The very thing he was running from, powerlessness, comes back in the form of total isolation.
But the story doesn't end there. Not by a long shot. We're now entering the final act. And this isn't about a villain anymore. This is about a creator being forced to confront the consequences of his creation. This is about the price of power and that long, hard road to redemption.
So the experiment might have failed, but it left a scar. They call it the residual effect. Basically, Rana's experiments damaged the balance of the human mind, and now the whole city is on the brink of total collapse. The problem he created is now way too big for anyone else to solve.
And so, he returns. This quote says everything. It's not a threat. It's a statement of responsibility. He's not there to finish his plan. He's there to erase it completely. The monster has come back to fix the mess the boy created.
This is it. This sets the stage for the big climax. It all comes back to where it started, an experiment in a lab. But this time, the goal isn't to gain power, it's to sacrifice it. He has to willingly undo everything, and he knows exactly what it's going to cost him personally.
His final words to Vicky and Nikki, wow. They reveal this incredibly profound realization. In this one line, Rana's entire journey just comes full circle. He finally gets it. True strength wasn't about changing yourself to escape the pain, it was about enduring it. His friends, by just staying human, by staying loyal, had the one kind of power he could never achieve.
And so we come to the aftermath, the denouement. The sacrifice has been made, the city is saved, and it really seems like the tragic story of Rana has reached its conclusion.
The very last entry in his notebook gives us this final poignant lesson. The boy who thought kindness was a weakness dies understanding that strength without compassion is, well, it's meaningless. It's a complete reversal of his first idea, a perfect, heartbreaking end to his arc.
But just when we think the experiment is finally over, we get a coda, a secret ending that totally reframes everything we just saw and suggests that maybe Rana's story was only the beginning.
The city is quiet, the threat seems to be gone, but this single line introduces a terrifying new thought. Sure, you can kill the creator, but what if the creation has learned to live on its own? What if it has adapted?
The true ending is found on a hidden page of his notebook, a final, chilling message. It suggests his sacrifice wasn't an end at all, but maybe just another data point. The experiment is still running. So the question we're all left with is, if Rana was just the first variable, who or what is next?